just, it's funny, isn't it? These ways, yeah. Oh well. Oh well. What can you say? If it was an Aikido dojo, then you would be expected to be lined up when the class started. Yeah. Tomorrow. I've had one time in all my years, I did a makeup training for a group of students in Chicago. The first time I was a trainer, and I did a makeup training for some of the students at Gabi's class, and there were two very high level Aikidos in there. And the very last day I walked in, and every single person was sitting on the mat with ready to go. It was such a shock, and it was such a like shit. Wow. Yeah. No, it's not a setup. I'm just. Yeah, they amongst themselves became a self-organizing community around that. It's just interesting that, you know, I mean, I bet in other professional settings that you're in, that you have different attitudes towards these kinds of moments. I mean, some of you must come from other professional settings where, are you called back, or do you just know that you're going? What do you do? How do you internally prepare yourself for this? And again, I just find it interesting that there's a particular laissez-faire attitude about the training process. It's not right or wrong. It's just looking at, again, our general Feldenkrais community with regards to our sense of ourselves as entering into a professional world in how we're going to represent ourselves. Because I can tell you, I know many of my trainer colleagues who have no problems with being 15, 20 minutes late, blowing in, having the class. Things are just sitting and waiting, you know, and going on long breaks and coming back. And I mean, I've seen that for years and years and years. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm mentioning this, but it's still, you know, again, I've watched over the years people who want to have practices, people that are extraordinarily gifted in this everything in the class, gifted, and yet not believing in themselves as being able to be a practitioner, and letting their week just disappear with everything they do, rather than taking the time to say, okay, I really want to have 20 people in my week. That's 20 people plus all the time it's going to take to book them. 20 people in relationship to all the time it's going to be to prepare my space. 20 people in the time of all the things I'm going to have to do to market myself, to prepare myself to find those 20 people. In other words, I now have 40 hours that it's going to take me if I'm going to have those 20 people, right? And I don't put that time into myself or my practice. Yeah. So how can we expect our practice to develop when ultimately it comes down to somehow within myself of having an attitude or a belief that I'm not good enough, or I'm not capable, or I don't have the means to have this practice. I don't have what it takes to be really a valuable agent for the people that I'm going to be working with. Ultimately, there's some way in which, as we go through this process, that we are detrimental to ourselves. Yeah, and this is, I think it's hard. This is in the Feldenkrais world to not fall into this particular kind of lethargy. Yeah. So, study groups, working together, you know, having the agreement that you're for yourself that the next week after you leave the training, that somehow you move to having 3 people a week you practice with, and 2 weeks later you have 5 people a week you practice with. And I gave 1,000 lessons between my 3rd and 4th year. Now, how'd that happen? Well, my poor brother, I lived in an apartment with my brother. I built myself a table. And my poor brother, who was at that time working with some friends of his, they were painting houses, basically just out of college kind of thing. He's a high-level businessman now at this point, but right now, at that point in time, he was painting houses. So before he would go to paint every day, well, his clothes were not filled with paint. And then he would come home and I'd be waiting for him, and he'd get off work, and I'd have a sheet on the table to keep my table from being damaged by the paint. And so he got a lesson first thing in the morning, at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 6 o'clock at night, whether he wanted it or not. He's a younger brother, of course. And it wasn't long before his self-preservatory instinct kicked in. And so he started bringing his friends over to have lessons with me. Yeah. And so then it's funny, it was interesting. Then this eventually, through this pyramid that began to develop, a woman came to me and had a lesson, and she had a little healthcare, private kind of a healthcare little clinic, and she asked if I would be willing to work with people in her clinic. And I said, yeah, I'll be willing to work. And I said, but you have to understand, I can't say I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner. I can't say anything about the Feldenkrais method, but I'm willing to sit here and do whatever it is that, I mean, that I can imagine myself doing. And she basically provided me 40 people a week for the time between my third and my fourth year of the training. I killed myself in this. I had a knife in my back the whole time, by the way. Yeah, but it really, I mean, it was clear that I was interested in investing whatever I could to find these things for myself. And I took just small images that I had for what I'd seen Moshe do and different things in lessons and demonstrations. And I began to imagine how it was that I could help people. My guiding thread was, is this person capable of going in any direction without hesitation? That was the guiding thread. I didn't have any other basis. Yeah. So I began to invent what it was for me to work in this way. So I really invite you, if you really truly want to practice, then you have to practice. It's not going to, these things are not going to just fall into you. These things require the investigation. Hopefully, we've given enough information this week that you can investigate the way that you're going to sit, support yourself, and imagine yourself being available to move in the different directions in such a way that you can maintain your support while you're working. And this will come and go and disappear, and the pieces of it will enter into you, and it'll come again, and you'll find yourself doing things, and you'll wonder, I don't know, that's not so comfortable, maybe I can find another. So that gradually you start to have your own internal feedback system that helps you find, oh, this is a better way of doing it. Yeah? This is a perspective on how to investigate and to utilize this work as a personal practice. Yeah? If you throw all of this out, I have no real investment in it. It's just a perspective. But it has within it some principles that you can utilize for your own benefit. Yes.
That was just prompting me. I was talking to people before. I wanted to create a little WhatsApp group for Melbourne, so we can just post when we want to have a little meetup or invite people over or something like that. So, yeah, I need to get people's numbers. So just give them to me, and if you want to.
Exactly. Practice and practice and practice. And if you have the means and the time, and really at this point in time, teach awareness through movement. The more that you teach awareness through movement and understand the dynamics of the lessons, the more that the dynamics of the lessons become available to you. You can see all of these things are completely based. Everything I've done is very clearly based in understanding some awareness through movement, element of awareness through movement, or it's clearly based in basic Feldenkrais pedagogy. Yeah. So I invite you to practice and study. Yeah. Okay. Where's my girlfriend? Where'd she go? She left. Oh, there she is. You didn't know you were my girlfriend. She didn't know she was my girlfriend. What's that? Yeah. Gloria. Glor. That's a series of memories I don't think I need. It had way too much beer in it. Okay, so here we go. I'll oftentimes start a lesson with just this little process of listening, just tuning myself to the person so the person finds my kindness or my sense of caring, my sense of being here with them, just helping them to, they know that I'm not going to do something rash or hard with them. Just this moment alone just provides them the sense of, oh, maybe there's something here. It's obviously not what I've experienced before. It's not Reiki. It's not Rolfing. All right, so now let's make the distinction between rolling and rotation. Okay? So rolling means that I'm turning and my hand is coming up to give my palm is turning almost opposite the direction I'm going. Yeah? My palm turns opposite the direction I'm going, and she's made a translation across the table, hasn't she? There's this funny thing about the neck being here that it makes it so that it's going to travel in whatever arc the person makes. And the person, as we know, has a different disposition of going sometimes one way and sometimes the other. And then we're going to make the movement of rotation. Rotation, instead of turning my palm upward, turning my hand across, I turn my hand underneath. I'm basically just sliding my hand underneath. Her head, the weight of her head is still in balance. I can still do nodding movements here. I could never do that here. Yeah? If I tried to nod her head here, she's so busy holding her neck that there's no way I can make this nodding movement. Everywhere that I make this movement, I have within myself
a quick question on like tension in the wrist, like when you're doing.
I don't know, it's like this.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Fun.
This nodding movement is being made that as I lift her chin, my hand is going away. As she's dropping, I've turned my pelvis underneath. I'm making this nodding movement again, completely with my pelvis. I'm almost not changing my hand whatsoever. My hand is sliding under her head, under the point of weight of her head. Yeah, it's like, give me the thing. So if I'm holding this, and so I have this in my hand, yeah? Now if I slide it one way, so I'm continually taking the weight of this thing, and it's me, but there's no change. This is being done by what's taking place underneath myself. It would be tempting to just do this, but I'm not willing to lose the quality of my contact with them. Yeah, so I'm continually playing with this. Her head is balanced in my hand. I'm lifting up and into her, and then I have, as my hand comes to me, and I keep looking for where's the clearest point. You see, I make little adjustments until I have the sense that she's in such a balance that I make a small movement, she comes up, make a small movement, she goes down, until she has the ability. Now, of course, how many lessons have you done where you make this movement of pecking? No? Can't I make the same movement of pecking? Lifting, sinking, lifting, sinking, changing, beginning to rotate underneath, and then pecking again, and finding where underneath herself, and pecking and lifting, making any kind of distinction that I want to. But mostly, this is a question of my hand sliding under and rotating. And my hand sliding under and rotating. Rolling. Rotating. Okay? Again, studying all the potential possibilities that a person has so that I have the greatest ease to, I want to be in the place where I can discover for myself and she can discover for herself what interferes with the most simple, elegant movement that she can experience. Yeah? All right. Rolling and rotating, just playing the difference. Rolling, my hand, rotating, my hand comes up. It's the same movement of my pelvis. It's just the subtlety in the way that my forearm changes its shape relative to the weight of the person's head that I'm moving, the mass. All right, go play for a couple minutes.